Hello and welcome to The Curators, a podcast about game projects on Kickstarter. I'm Joey.
And I'm Marcelo. You can find all the games from this episode as well as plenty of others at our curated page at kickstarter.com/gamerati.
You can also find links to each of these projects in the show notes of this episode at thecurators.gamerati.com. If you're a backer of any of these projects, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at thecurators@gamerati.com. Tell us why you're backing a specific project, and we may feature your email on the podcast. Ooh. So, Marcelo, I get to go first.
Oh, yeah?
Even though I only have one game.
How many days to go? Mine are 16 and 20. Yours is
15.
Fewer days? 15. Oh, by 1 day. Okay, it's your turn.
But since this is like the first time we're doing the video, we may not actually get this podcast out as quickly as we usually do. So take about 5 days off from what we're saying, and that will be how many days you have left, dear listener, to back these projects. So from the date of release, this will only have 10 days left on it. It is called The Turnkeeper.
Aha. An elegant initiative tracker for tabletop gaming. Cool.
So the big reason I really like this, honestly, one of the biggest things that really drew me to this was the fact that I really would have loved to have designed something like this myself. I think the concept is a lot of fun, but the execution is actually what makes this one of the coolest things I wanted to talk about. It's not like the most necessary element to add to your tabletop RPG experience, even though I highly recommend you watch the video, by the way. Take a look at the video. They have actually kind of a fun little moment where the DM is clearly frustrated with his initiative tracker. It's kind of a there's got to be a better way sort of moment that I think is hilarious, but they do explain kind of better in the video how the initiative tracker works than they do in some of these still images. So the idea is that this outside gear on this tracker has 10 different slots. Each of those slots actually has a magnet behind the chunk of wood that's there. And the intention is to put your monsters and your PCs as tokens on the little individual chunks of initiative rows, what's the word I'm looking for? Initiative slots, I guess. So if you're going first, second, third, fourth, you'll have those icons in those spots. And they're also, if you're getting everything, which I believe you have to get the $135 pledge in order to get everything, you will also get non-magnetized tokens that will be the same as the magnetized tokens, so you can use those non-magnetized tokens on your actual battle map. So you can look at the battle map and go, oh, okay, that token of that wolf goes at this initiative order because I can see it on the wheel, which makes a lot of sense. Furthermore, there's a second set of gears when you I wish I could show it on my actual screen here, since I'm showing my screen to the video that we're going to put up on YouTube, but there isn't like a big GIF of how it actually turns. The outer gear turns as you click each basically tooth, but the back or the rear gear moves at 1/10 the ratio of the first gear. So as you're turning, once you get it around the 10 teeth on the outer gear, the rear gear will move to display the round count. I don't know if I was able to make that visual for those that listen to just the listening side of the podcast, but it has a round tracker that is built in a 1/10 ratio for the gears, which I find to be also really fun. You can see what round it is. You can see when the round ticks over, so that you know that the round is over. Your spell effect that lasts until the end of the round is now over. You can see that if this was supposed to last for 2 or 3 rounds, it's now done because you know what round you're in, which doesn't come up as much for a lot of games I've found, but it can absolutely come up. And when it does, it needs to be known. So this is very, very helpful in that regard. The only kind of, I suppose you could say, issue I have with this particular design is that it only has 10 slots for each combat, meaning that if you have a game where you've got, 10 bad guys and 4 player characters, you will have to have some of those bad guys share a slot, which is probably fine. It's probably not a big deal, but you can only have 10 initiative, sets in a single combat. That's just the limitations. That's just the physical limitations of this device. But the whole thing is really, really cool looking. You can get it with a awesome roll side case that is also magnetized, and you can get engravings on it, and it sits recessed inside this like foam insert. And then all of the tokens will also stack in there. They stack on the sides around where the walls kind of peel up and cover the top. And you can see that as well in the video if you go take a look at it. The early birds, of course, are gone because I only just ran into this. But for 135, you get the Turnkeeper, the battlefield tokens. You get 66 of them, so 33 magnetized, 33 unmagnetized, I believe. Or actually, I want to say there will be 2. What did they say? They get the standard set of 22 magnetic tokens. So you probably get 22 magnetized and 44 unmagnetized? No, actually it says specifically right there, standard set is 66 tokens plus the 22 magnetic tokens. So you actually get a ton of tokens to work with this. So you're not limited to just what's there. Now you as the DM will have to know which elf ranger is the elf ranger in initiative slot 5 if you're doing more than one of them. Unless you stack them, I guess that would be the easiest way to go. Just all the elf rangers go at the same time, which a lot of DMs do. I do it. It makes for much easier just understanding of combat. Also, it's really fun to have brawlers that do multi-attacks and have like 6 of them all do 2 attacks on the same character at once and just watch them sweat. It's a lot of fun. So, that could be the way you do it too. But for 135, you get the keeper, the tokens, the keeper, the box, and then the 22 magnetic tokens. It's actually pretty affordable for what the design and the quality is actually being presented here. And I just think it's a really cool piece of art that you can actually add to your tabletop experience.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does the cat come with the special edition?
No, of course it doesn't. You have to supply your own cat. Every single one of these projects, if ever there's a cat, you have to supply your own cat. That's like Kickstarter 101, man.
All right. Okay, so my game has nothing to do with cats. I feel like I brought 3 different cat-related projects at one time. Not this time. This time my first project is about aliens. Complexcity from Big Kid Games. It's a tile laying game that kinda sorta reminds me of Carcassonne, but I think it's only because of the tracks that remind me of the roads from Carcassonne. So there has been a supernova, and 4 different alien species have to be relocated, and you. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, or 4 players. You can play by yourself or with up to 4 people. Every person is going to develop a complex, kind of like a colony in a planet, to be colonized to be able to, for those 4 different races to be able to live. And so you have your own. It's kind of like Carcassonne. It's very complex. The game is called Complexcity. It's a kind of a pun. Complexcity. So every person has their own set of tiles, their own base. Kind of like if you would play Carcassonne, but every person has their own sets. And you start laying tiles in order to create grids, 4x4 grids. Depending on, because every one of those, the alien species, they have a different color. The greens are the replicons, not replicates. They're the replicons. And then the reds are the terramorphs. They're kind of like beings made of magma and stone. The meridian, they are kind of made of water. They're blue. And the yellow tokens are the phytons. They are plant people. So you start laying those tiles, kind of like Carcassonne. The moment you have to respect the connections of the tracks. When you get a 2x2 area, you close it up. You see if you have more blues or more greens or more yellows, and you put a token there. And that determines what's going to come out of there. The replicants, they produce new habitats. They give you more tokens, more tiles. The terramorphs give you crystals that allow you to convert a place into a kind of place into another. The Neridians give you kind of tokens to use in the ambassadors. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. And the yellow ones, the phylons, they make seeds. They make food. So you tally up those your gains, and at the end of a round, every person may earn more points or some special cards depending on what they have the most compared to the other players. And then you have certain objective cards, certain ambassadors from the 4 different species on top of the table for everybody, and you try to gain influence on them. And you have certain combinations that give you certain like special abilities, momentary abilities. You kind of play your game by yourself, but you need to keep paying attention to everybody else on the table, because it doesn't matter if you're accumulating a lot of seeds. If everybody's accumulating seeds, you probably won't get many points or many advantages. So you need to pay attention to what other people are building or are building towards. And they don't call the tokens meeples. They call them complex minis instead of meeples. So the game seems to be like they have a lot of tokens, and they have a lot of tiles, and they're very colorful. A lot of cards with the objectives, with ambassadors, and there is a deluxe edition with a box with I think they're called trays with places
Game
for
trays.
Game trays. They come with game
trays. Is the company actually? They oftentimes partner with games like this to make specifically customized trays for those games, and a lot of them are pretty successful. They do a really good job with these trays.
Cool. And the deluxe version doesn't come with tokens. Actually comes with plastic miniatures of the seeds, of the water drops, the crystals, and the replicate cubes, which is kind of like, to me it's too much, but it's cool. It doesn't matter if I think it's a little too like on your face, but it's cool. I have to admit, it's cooler than the tokens. So the base game is $39 US with they call it the retail version. It means that they expect the game to go into retail after the Kickstarter project, and then all stretch goals. For $20 more, you get the deluxe edition. Then you get the retailer pledge of $100, only for retailers, and I won't be able to back because shipping is more than $70. Let's say rest of the world, $55.
Yeah, that would even be more than the basic pledge. The retail pledge is less than $55.
Yeah, but it's $10 for the United States and China. Then $15 for Canada, Europe, Australia. For some reason, Norway is $24, and Switzerland is $26.
Norway is actually kind of tough to ship to, believe it or not. Most of the time in Europe, you're shipping out of Germany, and a lot of people actually forget this. But when you're shipping like from Germany to Germany, most of the time it's only like $10 US, which is why you see the price of about 15. What does it say for like EU? 15.
EU and UK, yeah, 15.
15 because it would cost about $5 per copy to get an entire, big shipment over there initially. Then they get distributed for about $10 a package. But that's because, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, they don't live in countries that our size. They're not US or Brazilian. We have gigantic countries, and like the Pacific Northwest, just Washington State and Oregon is the size of Germany. So when you're shipping to another country in Norway, the price, like from Germany, it's essentially like shipping from one side of the United States to the other, and it can be pretty expensive.
Wow.
Now, a lot of USA, internal shippers there's a lot of ways that the USA has basically made shipping somewhat affordable. But when you're shipping between borders and you're having to change postal services because, Germany uses DHL a lot, but they may have to transfer that to a local postal service for Norway, it just becomes a crazy logistics nightmare. And so oftentimes Norway is a lot more expensive. And I think they broke that out to show you that that's probably the most expensive. Norway and Switzerland are going to be the most expensive EU or just non-Asian country to ship to. So if you don't know, I want to back this, but I live in Bulgaria, you won't pay more than probably 24.
Yeah,
that's kind of, I think that's why they did that.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for this game to go into retail because funding canceled. It just happened.
What?
In my face. Funding canceled for this project. Dun, dun, dun.
On
December 31st.
December 31st, 1969.
He went back in time. And
what?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I have to go look at this now.
It changed.
16 days to go for me.
Yeah, it changed to May 3, 2009. Funding canceled.
Oh, no.
Come on, man. I wanted to see this game in retail.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
That's crazy that it happened as we're talking about it. It was gonna have 11 more days at the time of recording. Oh, come on. Well, hopefully they come back, man. I mean, not obviously right now, but hopefully they come back. This looks really good. I was gonna say it's basically an alien gerrymandering game. Like, how many alien gerrymandering games there are out there. Let's ride this wave. That's the whole. When you said you were going to talk about this game, I was like, I kind of wanted to myself because it's an interesting idea. It's an alien gerrymandering game. Like, you can't tell me anyone's ever thought of that before.
Yeah, it's gone. Let's keep an eye on Big Hit Games, see if they return a couple of months down the road.
Absolutely. They'll make a return to the podcast most likely if we do see them again.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about my next game and the last game of this episode. It's Runika. Runika, because it's a rune game. Runika and the Six-Sided Spellbooks. It's described as a fantasy puzzle game with 80 dice. They even say how many dice. It's being crowdfunded by Shannon Kelly from Sydney, Australia, in association with Foxtail Games. I feel like we talked about Foxtail Games in the past. Anyhow, 20 days to go, 370 backers. They still need, $14,000. But with 20 days to go. So yeah, this is a fantasy game. It's kind of, I think I'm being unfair with the game here, but the game reminds me of Candy Crush. You have a mat in front of you that looks like an open old spell book. On the left, you have spaces for holding some dice and the cards you conquer and the tokens with your face. And on the right, you have a 4x4 grid where you're going to put the colored dice and a ring that you can turn. The ring turns. There's a name for this kind of contraption in board games when you have a piece of cardboard that moves inside of the other. I just can't remember right now. Insert? Inlay? Something like that.
I guess you could say inlay.
Yeah, so the thing turns. And so you pick up a bunch of dice from a cloth bag, roll them. Everybody picks one at a turn. It can be played from 2, 3, or 4 players, so every person picks one dice. You have your pool, and then you look on the table, and there is a set of spells. So the dice are runes, and they don't have numbers. They have symbols. I love those kind of, how can I say, specialty die? Those customized dice for specific games. I find them a lot of fun. So yeah, so they have special symbols instead of numbers. You have to make combinations in your 4x4 grid according to the cards, color and position. And the certain symbols give you special abilities. Certain symbols allow you to spend the die instead of putting the grid, so you can roll again, or you spend the dice so you can change the color of a die, or you can use dice to roll the ring, because the ring determines, the ring has 4 colors in its border, so it determines where the die gets into the grid. So that's why it kind of looks to me like Candy Crush, because you make Tetris-like patterns. And that there are also cards of because there's kind of a story of this game. You were caught stealing some magic books or something, so your punishment is to be to study at this magical school, this magical runes school. So you have 4 cards of 4 professors, each with a corresponding color of the dice. So you have blue, yellow, red, kind of orange actually, red and green. And the 4 professors, you can spend dice to influence them, and each one give you a special ability. At the end of the round, you tally up your points, and if you made a spell, you grab that card, and it's not available for the other players anymore. So that combination that you did, it's yours. And then at the end, you tally up how many spells and the complexity of the spells that give more points, and you win. So in the end, it's a point accruing game. But I like the gimmicky way they're making this. It's kind of more expensive than Complexity, because this game is, where is it? 69 Australian dollars. That's 49 US dollars. So, and it has less. No, it doesn't have fewer stuff. It seems to be a smaller game, but because of the amount of dice, it's how many? 80 dice. And the nature of the inlaid circle that you have to turn. So it should be a slightly expensive game. And there's only 2 pledge levels. $1.41. So you can just follow along, and the base game. I think it's well illustrated. Well, there's a cat here. There's a cat in one of the illustrations. I can't escape cats anymore. It's well illustrated. It's witty. The art is very well done, very cartoonish. I love the dice with the different symbols. There's a bunch of videos here that you can watch with prototypes. And yeah. You said you were interested in this game. Do you have anything to add?
I am quite interested in this game because a buddy of mine had picked up their previous game, Lucidity, which was, when you clicked on the name of the person, you saw that they had done 2 games. I believe the other one was Lucidity.
Six-Sided Nightmares.
Six-Sided Nightmares, yeah. And the art in Lucidity is very dark. It's very good, but it is about basically fighting off nightmares. Like, look at how dark that art is. But like the art for Runika is, 100% turned around. But the dice mechanic in this is also really similar. It's not about filling a grid, but it is very much about utilizing the dice that you're given in an interesting way rather than being punished for not rolling in a lucky way. Lucidity also has a very much a press your luck mechanic that I don't think Runica has. But if you are interested in Runica and or Lucidity, or you already have a copy of Lucidity, you can use the dice from Lucidity in the print and play for Runica. That was something that I noticed. If you go back to Runica to show off the Kickstarter page, and we go down, just scroll down a little bit for me because I'm looking at your screen. Underneath like the how to play, I want to say that they do mention it there, and I want to verify.
Yeah, you can try it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you can try on Tabletopia. There's an online version. Here it is. Lucidity Six-Sided Nightmares. You can use the dice from our last game, Lucidity, to play a print and play version of Runica here, and there's a link. All right.
Yeah. I really like Lucidity. It's really fast. It was just a simple press your luck game with custom dice, and it has amazing art. So I'm very interested in this game. I think the friend of mine who went out and bought Lucidity, they bought it via retail. So I'm hoping this one also makes it to retail. And then when I told him about this, he immediately backed it because it does look really good.
Yeah, it does. Let's see shipping. Let's see shipping here. Social media avatars. Shipping. Things can always happen. No.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, there's
Hold on. What does it say? Why is this an AUD? Go back down a little bit. I want to read that. Why is this an AUD?
As I live in Australia, my campaigns must use Australian dollars. You might know it better as Monopoly money. The only money in the planet right now that it's the same color is the US dollar. All monies are colored, have different sizes. Stop saying Monopoly money. Call US dollars boring money.
No. They are mentioning the fact that currently the Australian dollar is only at 70 cents of an American dollar, which is intense right now, and it's been diving for a while. And I think that that's what they're referencing, is that the AUD has begun to sink pretty hard thanks to a lot of the Chinese efforts and a lot of other American efforts to curtail some of the weird shipping rates that have been going across the Pacific. So I'm not sure if that's gonna level, but I think what they're talking about is the AUD is better known as Monopoly money because it is losing its value, not because it's colorful.
And they also say here that they'll be ordering excess stock in order to cover lost packages, and there is a buffer in the goal for any increases in shipping. No to ship in certain countries. Why I have made the effort to pass. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and they. I found this to be the case in countries such as Argentina and Brazil, because I lost so much money posting to South America in the last campaign. I have to increase the shipping costs to these countries. Okay, let's see if it calculates automatically. Let's see. I change. It's not detecting me. Huh. Oh, it detected me. Well, it's not pre-calculated.
Not adding.
Yeah.
Do not know.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be the equivalent. It's gonna be like $50 or something like that.
I would be willing to bet that for Brazil, you'd probably be looking closer to 30. The game itself is really tiny. It has a very small profile. It has, if you look at some of the videos, you can see it in somebody's hands. It's real small, but I'm still expecting it to be like $8 at the absolute minimum for America, and probably like $12 for you, and something closer to 30 at the absolute max.
All right. So yeah, it's another cool game. I won't be able to. Oh wait. I know a guy who lives in Australia. Granted, he comes to Brazil once, like every 2 years, but he's already holding. He's already holding a comic book for me that was only released in Australia. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Time to call in another favor.
Yeah. Speaking of calling, I think that's it. Anything else?
No, that's all I have. So that's it for another episode of the show. If you have any questions about the games we featured, or if you'd like us to consider a game on the podcast, feel free to email us at thecurators@gamerati.com, and we will answer you on the podcast.
You can also reach Joey and myself on Twitter and Facebook at Gamerati. The show notes for this episode and all our episodes are at thecurators.gamerati.com. You can also find The Curators on the iTunes, on the Google Podcasts, on the Stitcher, and on the Spotify.
And don't forget to check out our curated page at kickstarter.com/Gamerati. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/Gamerati.
All right, Joey, I already chose my game for next week. I hope it doesn't get... Yeah, I hope it doesn't get canceled. Oh, wow. Okay. See you next week, Joey.
See you next week.